to the Eagle's Nest. You know my motto is you may be in it, but you're coming out soaring. I am so excited today. I have my classmate in the house, a class of 88.
Yes.
How you say it.
Yes.
So y'all know how I do it here in this Eagle's Nest. I don't introduce my guests because I want my guests to introduce themselves in their own way. I know who she is. You may not know who she is. Some of you may know who she is. But guess what? We're going to let her introduce herself in her own special way. So, Emma,
yes,
let the people know who you are.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Emma, and I am a classmate of Sylvia's from class of 88. The best class that ever walked the catwalk. I'm the clinical neuropsychologist, and so I'm just here to have some fun.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs a little fun in their life.
Absolutely.
Because the way things are going on right now, it's so much happening, and every now and then we need to just take our minds off of whatever's going on around us and just take a moment to breathe, to laugh, and just get ourselves into our little happy places. So today we're going to take ourselves to a little happy place. Now, you just told me something right now that I really wasn't even aware of. Now, you said you are a clinical who?
Clinical neuropsychologist.
Now, you know good and well I don't know what a clinical
So,
neuro, that sounds like it's dealing with the head.
Yes, exactly. So a clinical neuropsychologist is basically, I specialize in the brain. And I don't mean I'm going to go in there and cut your head up, but I have done that before. But you know what it is basically any illness or mental health condition that affects the brain as well as the body. So I look at mind, body, and the mind, the body, and of course the spiritual sense, and just kind of tie them together because, you know, whatever goes in our mind is going to affect our body.
Right.
Whatever affects our body is going to affect our mind. So I kind of look at how those things play out and determine what part of the brain is actually causing somebody to have some issues. For instance, dementia.
Yes.
Or ADHD. Or any type of traumatic brain injury. You know, people don't realize, if I can give you another example, people don't realize that when somebody have a traumatic brain injury, people always want to know, well, why they do certain things, like why they sometimes lash out, you know, verbally or physically, or why they drink so much, or why they start using drugs, is because that basal ganglia in their body, in their mind, in their brain just kind of continues to go. And so the same thing with ADHD, with the impulsivity, it just continues to go and go and go. And so it doesn't really stop those behaviors until they hit a wall. And that's what the basic ganglia in the world and the mind does. It normally kind of cycles itself and it knows when to stop. But when somebody has ADHD, or when they don't know how to cut it off, and so they hit that brick wall. And then, you know, sometimes medication will kind of help them kind of guide that.
You know, that kind of makes a lot of sense. A lot of people don't understand people who do have ADHD or different things going on in the mind. They think that person can control what they're doing, and they can't.
No.
And that's one thing that I have tried to get a lot of people to understand, because, you know, I'm an advocate now for ADHD.
Awesome.
You know, because my son has it.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not shy about talking about it, because a lot of people don't talk about it. So it gives me an opportunity to really to express it. Because a lot of times the things that he does, when you're looking at him, you want to say, well, he should be able to, but you can't deal with them in a context you would deal with a child who doesn't have ADHD, because their mindset is totally different.
Exactly.
And that's something that the mind is, to me, is something that I've learned is very complex.
Yes.
Even though it's complex, the mind controls so much
everything
of what you do and how you interact and how you conversate and how you carry on with life.
Absolutely.
And I've learned in my, you know, how they say, in my adult life.
Right.
And even in doing ministry now.
Right.
How, when you're ministering to people, you have to take into perspective, into context, the way people think.
Absolutely.
You know, and if you think beyond that, you will miss sometimes being able to help a person to identify whatever's going on with that person.
Yes.
So
you gotta step out the box.
And a lot of times we don't want to step out that box. We like being held into that box.
Right.
And then sometimes I have had people to say to me, when I did step out the box, poor you.
Right.
You know, I said, well, my mind clicked.
Right.
I know, you know what I said? My mind clicked. So you was used to that person when their mind was kind of like shut off. But when my mind clicked, and I realized.
That's right.
And so that's basically when you're dealing with the person's mind, that's basically what you have a person do.
Absolutely.
You have that person to click.
That's right.
And to realize who they were.
That's right.
Apart from where their mind has them at now.
Exactly.
Girl, that seems to me like that'd be a very, very interesting.
Oh, it is.
I bet it is. And how to say, that's right up your alley.
Yes.
Because you've always been that type of person. To like to delve into people's minds.
Yes.
So I have to be very careful because you probably want to sit here and say to yourself, what is going on in Cynthia's mind right now? Because my mind is always going.
Yes,
It can think some stuff and it can really, really, really put myself into some very, how to say, vicarious situations. But I love my mind.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that I love about how the word goes. Because God is so strategic in the way that He does stuff.
Yes,
He was so concerned about us. And you said something very, very interesting when you said, like, you deal with people from the mind, the soul, and the spirit, even in your natural job.
Yes.
And how all that still ties into how God made everything work, work in a part of itself on the natural side as well on the spiritual side.
Yes.
And even in the church, you know, we tend to want to just minister to people in one basic aspect and not realize there's a lot more to people than what you realize. And you said that sometimes that I was paying attention when you were talking. I pay attention. I'm very, very, look, I may act like sometimes I'm not paying attention, but I catch the words. I be like, oh, she said something very interesting that I didn't realize when you said the part about the trauma.
Yes.
When trauma affects you, how it affects your mind.
Yes.
And a lot of times when we're dealing with people who in so many ways have had a traumatic event or whatever, we don't realize how that has affected that person in their mind.
Right.
And we'll say to ourselves sometimes that person needs to get over it, or that person, they're doing too much, or they don't need to do all that.
Right.
But we're not realizing that has affected their mind in some type of way.
Exactly. It changes the whole brain chemistry.
And when you change the brain chemistry, you change that person.
Change that person.
Man, that right there to me is something. Wow.
Right. And when people say, just get over it, you're like, well, it's become part of me. You can't get over something that became part of you.
Right.
Because now that is woven into your being. So you can do all the things. We try to teach people different coping skills, but the worst thing you can do to somebody is tell somebody to try to get over something that's part of them now.
Right. Because that incident is going to be with them until they're in a place where they can deal with it and they can get over that situation.
Or learn how to cope with it. Because they'll never get over it.
Right.
They learn how to cope better. And which is a good thing because, we develop coping skills and one of the coping skills, is just like anything else. You wanted to use it to strengthen you. And so that's how the church comes in, because the church is a hospital.
Right.
And it's used to strengthen us and it's to help everybody else, other people. So when they feel like, hey, I'm in a better place now that I've been strengthened, now I can help somebody else in their journey.
And that's what the scripture says. When you are strengthened, go back and strengthen your brother.
That's right.
And sometimes I've learned, I laughed a lot, going into this and being whatever, but I've learned in my own journey that when you share the things that, it's not so much like you said, you telling people your business. A lot of people don't want to share things because they feel like they're telling people their business. They're telling people the ugly side of who they are. But I've learned since being in ministry and starting to walk in a different aspect of ministry, I've learned that sharing parts and being a little bit transparent about myself has really been impactful and very inspirational to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Because I share my story of going through depression. And a lot of people like, well, I went through depression. I learned how to cope with it. And in coping with it, I learned how to not always show how I was actually feeling or how I was, because I know a lot of people say, well, some people who depressed, they always, sad, or they, whatever. I said, I learned how to be a functioning depressive. That's what I call it. I don't know if that's a word to it or not. But that's how I learned to deal with it. And in being in ministry now, it's like now, because I've been in that space, I know how to minister to a person who finds themselves in that space. And I've seen how that in renewing how I think about things or how I see things, it really has helped me in ministry.
Absolutely.
It has helped me in my personal life. It has helped me also with dealing with my son, because if I had not never knew what it looked like to be in a place where you weren't yourself, not necessarily you weren't yourself, but because you had other things that was going on, I wouldn't have been able to minister, be effectively what they want to call it, parenting to him, or understood what he was going with and dealing with ADHD. So that part of it is something that I am thankful for, because you said something, we learned how to cope. And I took, I had to say, I took a class one time about, they were talking about grief. It becomes a new normal.
It becomes a new normal.
And that's the part that, a lot of times that we don't really identify, because you having to learn how to do things and how to be in life again in a new way than what you were before. And sometimes that can be scary.
It can be scary. And not only that, you were saying, about I didn't look like what other people look like being depressed. And depression just has some common symptoms, but everybody do it differently. Just like I can put on a pair of jeans, we can buy the same pair of jeans, and we're going to look at them differently. So it's the same thing. Somebody can be depressed and they may not be able to function at all. They may be in the house, they can't get up, can't get out of bed. Other person may be functional, may go to work every day. People will see them smile and never know they're depressed. And then you got other people that may be so angry that they fight kids, particularly. They'll lash out and they, fighting everybody doing things, and people just think that they're a bad child or that they are aggressive. Well, no, they're depressed. We call it agitated depression.
Wow.
So it's just different things. People, and so, but we have to wrap our mind around people being different in their disability or in their, symptomatology. And then once we can do that, then we can say, okay, let's look at them where they are. And the Bible also talks about, we're overcome by our testimony. But people don't tell you in the beginning is that when you tell somebody, you may go through it a little bit more because it's going to make you feel vulnerable. And that's why a lot of people don't like to share this stuff, because it makes them feel vulnerable, and then overcome by and each time you tell it, you get stronger. And when you get stronger and stronger, you're helping somebody else. So you actually strengthen yourself so that you can strengthen somebody else. Because a lot of times people don't share because, they think that people can see their scars.
And we don't want to show them.
We don't want to show them. So it takes us who've been through some stuff to be able to say, hey, I know what you're talking about, or I may not have had that issue, but I'm coping with something else, because we're all coping with something. And how are we to get over anything and help other people get over it if we don't open our mouth?
And that's the part that for a long time that I wrestled with when I started speaking, because it got to a place, do I want people to know this part of Sylvia? Because even sometimes, even now when I share something, they like, well, you experience, because sometimes when we see people, we see what we want to see in that person.
We want to see, and we want to see them like they were.
And that's the part a lot of times that I wrestle with. Because a lot of people say, well, you used to this and you used to it. I know that Sylvia did that. But this is where I'm at now. And it's almost like
a free.
Can you embrace me
now?
Instead of want to put me back
in a box
into the place where I freed myself from. Like the song that Mississippi Mass Choir used to sing about the birds. The man had the cage, and they put him in the cage, and the birds, when the man finally opened the cage up, the birds didn't even know that they were free. And so I was like, I know that I'm free. Can I just be free? because I know what it was like to be bound.
Caged.
Yes, I know what it was like to, and that's one thing that a lot of people used to like to always remind me of. You used to wear makeup all the time. I know I used to wear makeup all the time, but did you ever stop to ask why did I wear the makeup all the time? Or why did I do certain things all the time? Because that was my way of coping and masking. Yes. So if I did this, you didn't look at anything else because you were distracted by all the makeup.
Exactly.
Or
you didn't see me.
Right. And I was okay with that because that was the place. And so if you didn't see me, then I didn't have to reveal anything. I didn't have to show you anything. I didn't have to tell you anything. But when I got to the place where I said, okay, I just want to be free. I don't want to hide behind anything. And when everything comes, I was like, who are you? Sylvia. I am Sylvia. And so it's almost like, can you see me as Sylvia without the makeup? Can you see me as Sylvia without all the other things that Sylvia did before Sylvia got to this place? But a lot of times people don't know how to deal with you when your mind and your spirit and your soul has been set free.
They don't.
And that's why the scripture said, who the Son sets free
are free indeed.
And so, I'm walking in that freedom.
Yes.
And every now and then I do hear, well, you're not the same. I'm not supposed to be. And that's what happens when you renew your mind.
That's
you're not supposed to be the same.
You're not. You're free. And if we can get more people to embrace their freeness, or either be able to walk in a place where they can find their freeness, then they'll be better. But because they're not there yet, they don't even understand freeness.
And sometimes freeness is a scary place.
It's a scary place. Absolutely.
It's a scary place.
Because it's a change.
It is. Because when I finally got into that place where I was free, it was so foreign to me. Even though it felt so good. But it was still foreign. And every now and then I did find myself, even when I was walking in the place of freedom, where I want to run back to the place that was familiar, to the place that was comfort, because I said, okay, I'm free now, but now I got to face people.
people.
I was like, before, I was okay with sitting over in my little corner, not talking to anybody, being to the side. But now that I'm free, it's like, okay, how do I talk to you? Hey, I'm sorry. But then it's like, when you start talking back, it's like, okay,
what am I doing?
She's talking to me. I don't know what this is. Let me go back up in this corner. But then it's almost like,
I can't go back.
No, I'm free.
Can't go back. I'm free.
Because when you get back over the corner, be like, well, this don't look like, And so either way it go, you're still in a place where you say, okay, am I going to continue to move forward, or I'm going to stay stuck where I'm at? Because where the forwardness looks foreign to me, the backwardness, it don't even look the same.
It don't feel the same. I can't wear that anymore.
And then so now you saying to yourself, okay, you almost in limbo, like, okay, you're not going to do that. And then you finally just tell yourself, okay, I don't stepped out and started walking. Let me just keep walking.
And don't look back.
And that's what gets us.
That's what gets us, because when we look back, it takes our eyes off of where we are. And we may stumble, but if we look ahead, we can keep going. But so many people look back and realize, you know what, I knew that. I don't know this. And they stop. And they'll go no more. Then hopefully, they'll pick back up and take another little step, and keep going. But oftentimes, it's not even us looking back, it's people trying to bring you back. And so you got to be strong enough to say, I'm not going to let nobody take me back. What I want is freedom, and I'm going to keep walking no matter how much it hurts in the beginning, because it hurts. It hurts.
Change hurts. That's like I said, even when we exercise, we're using muscles we never used before.
Oh, yes.
It hurts.
It hurts.
So when you're going through the process of healing, it hurts. Because you having to do things that you never thought you would do. You're having to put yourself in places that you never thought you could put yourself in. And that's one thing that I learned when I became to the point where I wanted to walk in a freedom, because I told myself I just didn't want to be in this place anymore. For a long time, I know from a lot of people that know me, that really know me, I was shy. I didn't like being in, around a lot of people. I'm still that way. I still don't like being in crowds of people. But at the same time, I don't, now I step out.
Right.
And I still will go.
Right.
Even if I don't stay long.
Right.
It's just,
that's a step.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a step in the direction of where I want to go, because I realize that right there,
right,
you don't want to be in a place where you're alone.
Right.
And but what God has been so helpful and strategic in my life is sometimes, even in those places, the moments where I felt like I was stuck, He would send somebody by.
Yes.
That was like, okay, you know, got stuck. Okay, let me give you
right.
a little nudge, or let me give you a little push, or let me
right.
give you a little encouragement to let you know you're heading in the right direction. Just keep walking, just
right.
keep going.
Right.
And sometimes in our lives we do need somebody that
right.
can come along and just say,
right. That's right. That's right. We always need it.
Right.
And sometimes, you know, it may be gotta send somebody. It could be the mailman.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Somebody you don't even expect
right.
to get something from. You know, like, oh, okay, well, let me just think about that, because it's like the message is just for you.
Right.
You know, and like, okay, well, let me just get myself together for a minute. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, we get those, but we almost have to be in tune or be willing to listen.
Right.
So that way we can accept that nudge and keep on. But we also have to be able to push somebody a little bit, be the nudger,
right,
for somebody, because you know you can see somebody, even though they're functioning depressed, functionally depressed. You know what that looks like.
Yeah, I know what it looks like.
So you can say, "Girl, come on, go walk with me."
And I get tickled when a lot of times people tell me I'm not depressed, and I look at them and I say, "You're not just dealing with somebody who don't know what it's like." So it's almost like, come here. I don't really just call out and say you are. I just like, just come go with me, because like I said, I know what it looks like.
I know what
and
it looks
I know
like.
when a person's trying to cover it and when a person's trying to hide it.
Right.
But I don't just pry into
it.
But I just have a conversation with it, because I know what it looks like.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people say, well, how did you know? I said, I know. I've been there.
Right.
And I said, some people say I've been there and I got a t-shirt about it.
Right.
Because I've been there. And that is true. But something, you know, like you were saying, that God sends us messages, you know, every day. If we pay attention to what God does, every day there's messages all around us. There's things that He does to send us encouragement throughout the day. Even in things that sometimes we don't feel like that we're getting encouragement, you know, for. Now, I don't want to, you know, like go into everything today, but even today at the funeral, there were things that were said that, you know, I wasn't, you know, I didn't know Mel the way you all knew Mel, because I left, and, you know, I haven't been in contact with everybody. But just to hear how she loved. Yes. And she forgave. That taught me something about forgiveness. Yes. You know, and that showed me what forgiveness should look like. Right. You know, if you say you forgive a person, and when you forgive the person, you let the person, you let it go, and you don't whatever with it. Right. The way that was personified to me, that allowed me to see, well, Sylvia, if you want to move forward sometimes in life, you just got to let stuff go. Right. And then that way you can always walk in a state of perpetual happiness. Right. It may not mean everything in your life is good or whatever. Right. But you're in a state of perpetual happiness. Right. Right. That was a message for me today. That's right. That was a message for me today, to just live in today. Right. And let today be a day that you say, I'm going to be happy, no matter whatever's going on. I choose be happy. Yes, because yesterday's gone. Right. And we ain't promised it tomorrow. Right. So we got to do something today. Right. And the one thing that can hold us is holding grudges. That does more damage to us than it does other people. Right. So, you know, like you don't have to forget the stuff, because you know you remember everything. But if you can get to a place where that emotion doesn't control you, then you can walk in that happiness and that joy, you know, and keep moving forward. And that's something that from today, that I will take with me, is to just. Right. That's right. Because you control that. Yep. So it's almost like you choose to just let that just. Right. And then you move forward in it. Right. That was something today, that the message that God allowed me to see today. You just. Right. It's something for everybody. Always. He provides something for us always. Even when we don't realize that, you know, we think that we're doing something for somebody else, but the way God is that he
he gives it to us too.
Mhm.
Everything we do,
Right.
when we're trying to help somebody else, he always gives us a nugget
Right.
to move forward.
Mhm.
Because we're not, it's not like you, people think sometimes that when you learn to cope, it's like everything's just gonna go away.
Right.
No, it's coping.
Right.
That means you're coping every day.
Right.
You want to get stronger every day.
Right.
And I think sometimes people misinterpret that for everything's gonna be just all roses.
Right.
In our coping and our walk. No, it's not. But like you said, once you get a taste, baby, you want that continuous, flying. You know what I mean?
Get that taste.
You get that taste. I'm telling you.
How to say you whet that appetite.
Yes.
Yeah, tell you how to say get a place of freedom and everything.
Exactly.
And it's almost like you ain't putting me back in that box.
Right.
I don't care what you do, how you do. If I gotta go kicking and screaming, that box is gonna sit over there because I have been freed from that box. And that's why, for me, myself, the freedom, the years of just being in a place where I put myself in isolation, it's almost like no.
Right.
If you can't accept me where I am in my freedom.
That's right. That's right.
Because it's something about it when God just free you.
Right.
It's just something about it. It's like you said, that new mindset or whatever.
Yes.
But everything about your life is new. Everything everything that comes along with the news and everything. I found myself throwing stuff away, doing different things, experiencing different things, and being willing to try different things, and being open to
being open.
Things. Yeah.
Being open. Because that's keeping you in that box doesn't allow you to see over that horizon.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of keep you there. You talked about being, just kind of a functioning depressant, in a depressive state. I was extremely happy in school, smiled all the time, did all these wonderful things and enjoyed it.
Right.
But I was still in a box. And here's the thing, because my box was, don't go out of this house telling what happens.
Right.
In our community, that's
still nowadays.
It's still nowadays.
Used.
And it hurt people to do that. So I used to tell my kids, if anything happened in this house that you feel like that's harmful, I need you to tell somebody else.
Right.
Because we may be there. We all need something to help us step out of the box. So, with my book, I said, as a psychologist, people see us in a box.
Right.
Right? You're supposed to have all the answers. You're supposed to help everybody with everything. And our ethics say we're not supposed to share anything with anybody about ourselves.
Right.
Because we're to help them with their box, not your box.
Right.
So what I decided to do, I was like, you know what, Lord, but I know that the things that you brought me out of, and the things that you've helped me with, and the things that I've overcome, that is not, you didn't allow me to go through that without wanting to help somebody.
Right.
Because I'm a psychologist by degree. I'm a therapist by design.
Hey.
Right. Because he equipped me with the things that I need long before I got the degrees.
It's just now you can use them together.
I could just use them together. Because, let me just give you an example. So I really wanted to go to school to be a pediatrician. That was what my mind was. That's what I said. I've been saying that since second grade, that I was going to be a pediatrician. But, of course, I went to the military and had to stick all the babies. I didn't like that at all. I still got scars, Sylvia, from when we practiced IVs on each other.
Really?
Yes, and that doggone Melanie. Oh, my gosh. I was like, Melanie, you ain't never sticking me again. You know what I mean? Because we practice on each other.
Right.
But so when, I lost my track of thought for a minute. But, when I said, okay, so here's the thing. I want to be able to help somebody.
Right.
I know that I still want to be a doctor, and I know that, I can't be sticking no babies. I can't be making no babies cry. So I went back to school and became took a psychology class and fell in love with that.
Wow.
Just fell in love. It's like that was home for me.
Right.
Now, the reason I said it was home for me, because it's nothing but the grace of God that did this. Because I am an individual that love. When I tell you love, baby, I love working with individuals who got mental illness.
Wow.
Love it. Love it, because I can look at somebody
right
and tell you what their story is before they even open their mouth.
Look at you.
And that's because, like you said, you can see somebody with certain things. I can see it, and so I try to help them to take that badge off.
Right.
Because we can see it and try to help them develop some coping skills.
Right.
So let me just tell you this, and your viewers, because I want you guys to really understand, which is why I said, I always look at the spiritual component, because it's part of who we are.
Right.
So since I love the people with mental illness, with depression, with anxiety, with traumas, because I can interview them, and before we leave that session, we just laugh and have a ball because we're just having a good time. But here's where it comes from. People don't realize that when I was in the 5th grade, I was kidnapped and raped at gunpoint by a mentally ill man.
Wow.
So here's the thing. Who can do that but the grace of God?
But the grace of God.
Because anybody else be saying, I ain't going to be trying to be around nobody with mental illness because this happened to me.
Right.
But God says, don't run away, run to.
And use it to help
somebody else.
And that's the song that Ruben Studdard song.
Yes.
I think.
If I can help somebody.
Yes. And then he says, you don't know, but the thing that you're going is medicine for somebody else.
That's right.
Because a lot of times we go through the things we do. God don't waste anything.
He does not.
He don't waste anything.
My goodness.
We think that it's being wasted. We think that what we went through was like, God, you let me, but He didn't allow it to happen.
Right.
But He will use it to help somebody else. He said He'll use like the story about. He said He'll get glory from it. He'll use our story because they say who's seeing this man is on. He like Jesus said now, but that the glory of God could be revealed. So He's using our testimony. He's using the things that we going through. We heal. He heals us true enough.
Yes.
But then there's somebody we don't know who's coming up behind us. That is gonna need that little piece that's their piece of the puzzle. Like they put a jigsaw puzzle together, and you have this piece right here, and they got all these pieces. But here you come along, you drop your piece in. Now they got a piece of their puzzle. Yes. And then somebody else comes along and they add to their puzzle. And by the time God gets through with it, the whole masterpiece. But if you withhold your piece of the puzzle,
then you are not helping them become whole.
And that's what we sometimes we miss because we looking at it from the place of saying it's my story.
It's my story.
And I don't want to share that story.
But it's not.
There's somebody who got a puzzle.
Yes.
Your piece. Yes. Go in their puzzle.
Right.
Because they're trying to walk into wholeness.
Yes.
And if you're holding that piece because you're holding it, what is it doing to you?
What is it doing for you?
What is it doing for you?
Right.
And we wonder why we got high blood pressure and all these other stuff.
Because we're holding it.
We don't want to release it. When we release it, we can imagine how our body goes, thank you.
Yes, exactly.
The blood says, whoo, I can go back to normal pressure now because she ain't rigid.
Yes. Just by laying it down. For somebody else. To help them. Just by sharing.
And that's the thing, God. That's
yes.
what God is. He is
awesome.
so bad. He is so bad. He is so bad.
Yes.
That we miss it. We sometimes say we miss it in some people say we miss it in the details. But not times we don't even miss it in the detail. We miss it looking at the detail because sometimes there's something that's outside of the details that you don't see because you're focusing on the detail.
Right.
You don't see that little piece of, like that's how they catch them crumbs.
Yes.
They look past the detail. And somebody said, what is that little speck on the floor?
Exactly.
So you may be that little speck on the floor in somebody else's details, but you're holding on to it. Girl, I tell you.
Yes.
He's God good.
He's good. He's good. He's so strategic in everything.
Everything.
We just got to walk in it.
Walk in it. And who knows? that Emma, Dr.
Ooh,
Emma,
baby,
would be at, how to say, in the Eagles Nest.
In the Eagles Nest.
On September the 20th. Is it 24th or 24th, girl?
Girl, 24.
The 24th.
Yes,
Who
yes,
knew?
yes.
Who knew? Who
right.
knew?
That's
Who
right.
knew?
That's
because
right.
even though what happened today, we didn't know that was going to happen,
No.
but you was already on your way.
Yes.
You was already on your way.
Yes. Because God said there was going to be a celebration. We didn't know.
Yeah.
But it's a celebration. So a celebration of life, a celebration of people moving out of their area, and we dropped some pieces.
Yes.
Today to help people move past. It may take them a minute, but we dropped those pieces to help them move past because their brain chemistry just changed now forever. So what we want to do is just kind of help them, that they don't have to fall into a depression or they don't have to fall into these. So just by dropping little nuggets.
Now, they don't have to be trapped in the box.
They don't have to be trapped in the box.
They can continue to walk in their
Right.
freedom. Even though there's a loss,
they
can still walk in their
That's right, because the piece they needed today was just a little bit of laughter.
And that's what they got.
And
that's how because when you're going in, you in a place of sadness and you're not thinking about the way the person was.
Right.
But when somebody came in and reminded them of the laughter. Because that's who they were.
That's right.
When you left, that's what you took away with you. Because like I said, that's what I took away was the happiness.
The happiness.
So that was the thing that reminds us of how God is. God says, I just want you just to laugh.
Right.
And if we would just take the time to laugh, or laugh doesn't, I don't know about the
it changed the brain.
Look, I had to look for a minute. I don't know, but I'm just saying, I have a feeling.
Yes, let me just tell you how that works.
I have a feeling.
Yes, it does, because see, in our brain, we have the neurotransmitter serotonin.
Oh.
And so walking, laughing, it increases that serotonin level. And so with depression, what happens is that serotonin level drops.
Oh.
So when you laugh a lot and you enjoy yourself and you smile a lot, it ain't just doing it for nothing. It's helping raise that brain chemistry level back up.
Well, see, ma'am, thank you for the happiness, because now I know how to keep my serotonin levels up.
Yes.
So I know how to do it now.
Yes.
It's to keep that, if I laugh and do different things, because like I said, I got my nugget, so that was my nugget. You let me know.
That's
you
right.
keep laughing.
You keep laughing.
And that will help you to not to fall back into whatever the enemy was trying to cause you to fall back. And I just want to remind you just to laugh and stay.
Yes.
See, I told you.
Everything is for his good. Everything. Yes.
Everything.
Everything. This is all right. I like this.
And I said everything.
Everything.
He wastes nothing.
Right. Nothing.
Not even a moment. He wastes nothing.
Everything.
We think things are just by happenstance. But God is in the moment.
He's in the moment. He's getting you ready. Getting you ready in everything we do. And not just getting you ready for you, getting you ready for somebody else.
Hey, I can take that too in another way too.
That's right.
But that's the thing.
Right.
But we gotta stay in a place where we're allowing God to do it. And the more, like we said minutes ago, the more we remain open.
That's right.
The more God can say, okay, she's still open.
Right.
Now I think before you kept closing yourself out when you were praying, asking God for stuff.
Right.
Women, now you keep closing yourself.
Right.
I'm trying to you're closing yourself out.
He said, Sylvia, come out that corner.
He's like, I don't want to come out there. But what I got for you is not in the corner. It ain't coming to the corner. I'm not sending it to the corner because I want you at the corner. But if I stay in the corner, everything that's out, I will never grab it because I'm in the corner.
That's right.
And I said to myself, Sylvia, when are you going to come out? You keep telling God, I want it. But God said, it's not in the corner.
It's not in the corner.
I need you out.
Right, and I'm trying to pull you. But you got to stop pulling back from me.
Look, I sent this person, that person talked to you, got whatever, but then you want to
run back to safety.
Look, I tell people all the time, I'm Jonah's ancestor 3 times. Because I take running in the wrong direction. But I said, I better stop that because I don't know the real reason why Jonah was running. So even though he was running, he was running. But at the same time, it's just that it's unfamiliar. And because because it's unfamiliar, I'm going to run from it. But God said, even though it's unfamiliar, run to it. Because when you run to it, I'm right there. You know, we trying to get to the finish line. He like that. He like that proud parent at the end of the finish line. Yeah, you can do it. Come on, you can drop. They look like, you can do it. You can do it. You look up. You know, you tell yourself, okay, I'm almost there. If I just get to the corner, then here come, then here come Emma. She come back, Sylvia. I'm telling you, you need to do this right here, do this right here. Now look, like you hear that music come up. What is it? Who used to do it? The when they were fighting. Sylvester Stallone, Rocky. You hear that music going, dun, 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 dun. You start shaking yourself. You be like, dun, dun, dun. And then you get up, like, okay, I got my second win. Now here I come. That's how God does.
Yes, He does.
Girl.
Yes.
All in.
Yes.
The mind.
Yes.
You can get past this mind of ours and just embrace what God is trying to do. Because that's what I said, you know, September, you know, this was my year, my year in ministry when I stepped out. And to do ministry, He told me, you know, it was a renewed focus, true enough. But even in having a renewed focus, I knew it was something He wanted me to deal with as far as saying a renewed mind. And in having all of that together, it's almost like, okay, now you can step over. Because now what I got for you now, you're open to receive it. You see me and you're thinking right. That's and everything else is going to come in line.
That's right.
Because these are the two things that are the most important. What is in your eyes is close to your mind.
That's right.
And it's close to here, and it is going to come out of here.
That's right.
So if you get this and this and that,
baby, you bad.
But you know, that's the place that God is trying to get us to.
Absolutely.
So Emma, I want you to just take a moment. And pour into the listening audience anything that you want to share with them from your heart in helping them to move forward in life and knowing that even though you experienced a trauma and it affected the mind in some type of way, that God can still take that mind and still make something beautiful out of your life. So just take the time to speak to
what the scripture say? He take the ashes,
beautiful ashes.
Baby, listen, let me tell you something, guys. So, you know, you have to, the first thing you got to do is you got to recognize that there's some things going on. And, you know, and if sometimes people will try to tell you something's going on, you know, and you'll be like, no, it's not me, that's not happening. But then if that's what you feel like, because that's a level of self-protection. So what we need you to do at that point is just go back and say, you know what, there are some things that, you know, the reason, think about why you're doing certain things. And then if you can make that comparison, then fine, and you can kind of get something out of it. But most people can't do that by themselves. So it's okay to go to the church, absolutely, and get spiritual help. But just like I told you, we're not just single, you know, that we're mind. So sometimes you need somebody to kind of help you, you know, to think about what's going on and draw those conclusions for you. Because I firmly believe that I'm a psychologist because of God. You know, a lot of people they don't believe in psychologists because they say that's not a God. Well, what? I know that I'm a God. I mean, I'm made in His image. What you talking about? Everything works for the good, for the betterment of the Lord. You know, everything works for your good. So you need to take the resources, use the resources that can help you come out of that box. You know, whatever it is that you need, ask for it. Because so many times we don't ask. Sometimes we just stay and live in silence. And the only thing we're doing is killing ourselves slowly. You know, I tell my patients sometimes, I need you to get busy living or get busy dying. So now here's get busy living. Get busy living means I need to do something. I need to take an active role in my journey. I need to take an active role in reclaiming my joy. I need to take an active role in my happiness. I need to take an active role in not staying in the box. I need to take an active role in trying to move forward. Whatever that means for you. And see, here's the thing people get confused about. They think that, you know, once you decide something, it's going to be easy peasy. No, it's hard work. I'm not going to lie to you. It's hard work. But everything worth what? Working for? It's right. You got to work. You got to work. So do that. You know, find a therapist if that's what you need to do. Find somebody to talk to. Talk to your pastors. Now, you know, get some guidance. You know, you can talk to more than just one person. You know, it's okay. And you know, and even if you need medication, because we don't like to take medication in our life. But let me tell you what the medication does. Just like I was talking about the serotonin.
Right.
Everybody don't have the energy, because you can be so depressed you don't have the energy to get out and walk. You don't have the energy to laugh, to do those things. So that's the only thing the medication does. It helps bring you up to that level, bring that serotonin level up a little bit, so that you can to get the energy. And then once you get that, because it could be a situation that you're going through, you don't need to take the medicine forever, because once you get out of that, we call that situational depression. So once you get out of that, then you can come out the medicine. You can't get addicted to antidepressants.
That's what a lot of people think.
I know a lot of people think that, you know, and some people believe, oh, that is not of the Lord. Well, you know, God would not allow these things to be created.
That's right.
You know, if it wasn't. He created pharmacists. He created doctors. He created all chemists. You know, all these things. And people are, you know, are doing this to help people. You know, I'm going to digress for a minute, but then I'm going to come right back. But let me just tell you this. If you remember this old saying where people say, you know, it was a flood. You remember that story? People used to say that there was a flood, and the man was sitting on his porch waiting, and they said, okay, the guy come by with a car, and he says, come on, man, let's go. It's going to be a flood. And he said, no, I'm waiting on the Lord. And then, of course, he sent a tractor or whatever else, you know. I'm waiting on the Lord. Then he sent a boat, because the water was coming up. Oh, I'm waiting on the Lord. Then he sent an airplane. You know, said, man, I'm coming up with him. Then he get to heaven and say, you know, why you ain't come get me? I sent a car, a tractor, a boat, and a plane, and you still sitting there. The point is that God allowed these things, and he wants us to utilize all the resources that are out there, you know, so that you have to have some common sense about this thing too. Sit over there in that depression if you want to, and wait for God to come off his throne to come and help you. You know what? I'm just saying. I know it's a little comical, but I'm just saying we gotta be real about this thing. And then once you do that, you know, take on the coping strategies that you need and take one step. You know, and then you know, don't do it by yourself. Then take another step, and before you know it, each one of these steps, you know, it's going to help you get to the point that you need. And it doesn't just, we're just using depression as an example. It could be anxiety, you know, it could be the loss of a loved one. It could be a number of things, you know, but it's going to affect you in all areas of your life if you don't. Let me just tell you how trauma works. Because, you know, can we talk about sexual trauma for a moment?
Go ahead.
Okay, so here's how people don't think about this. Let's say that if a little girl was molested at 4 years of age, she may not even remember it. But guess what? When she gets married and she starts feeling like, I don't want my husband to touch me.
Oh, wow.
They don't even think about it. It goes back to that.
Wow.
Because see, here's the thing. Even if we don't have the language, our body records emotions in our brain. So it triggers something that takes that person back. And so if they don't even know what's triggered, you got to go to somebody to help somebody trained that can help make those connections. So now when that little girl who's 42 now goes to therapy and talk about that, it's like, oh, wow, I never even really thought that. So they can deal with those emotions and uncover those emotions that never been processed.
Wow.
Then now they can move forward in their marriage. A lot of times in relationships, when they don't last, it's because somebody never really understood what they needed in their healing.
Now that's good.
You know?
That is good.
So that's what I want. If you can do anything else, you know, get some help. You know, smile. That's gonna help you. Laugh. That's gonna help you. And you know, and people will try to hold you where you were. They'll say, "Oh, you remember how you used to be?" Yeah, but I'm out. You know, celebrate you being out. I'm out. I'm no longer, you know, bound. You know, celebrate who you are. So every day, let me tell you something. As much as I was going through stuff and still smiling, loving life, you know, I got to a point in my life where I said, you know what, Lord, I don't want to live today. I don't want to live no more. But because I knew God loved me, He is why, you know, I'm always about trying to bargain with God. You know, I talk to Him just like I'm talking to you. I said, you know what, Lord, here's the thing. I don't know what my purpose is. But if you see fit to wake me up in the morning, that means you got a purpose for me. It don't matter if I know my purpose or not. Your purpose was wake me up, and so my purpose is just to be woke.
And to be in the line.
And just to be alive. So, and I look at everything, every breath I take, I appreciate that breath because I didn't have to get it.
Right.
That right there, if you can get to a point where you just appreciate breath, not, because we're going to jump up and holler for that new car.
Yes, we will.
We're going to jump up and holler for our team or is winning.
Yes, we will.
I jump up and holler every day. Woo! He woke me up today.
And that's what we
And
should do.
that is just one thing. A lot of people take that for granted, but I don't take breath. I don't take that for granted because so many people don't have it.
That's true.
So if you take that one thing, that'll spring you forward to your next.
Amen. That's something when you said about the breath. And we can look at what's happened in the last few years. COVID came to take people's breath.
Yes,
and that's the thing that God gave us that made us into it. When he breathed his breath into us, we became a living soul.
Yes.
And so the enemy threw in COVID that was trying to take people's breath. And so, like you said, if we can get to a place in our lives where we breathe.
Yes.
We have to get to a place where we tell ourselves, I gotta rebreathe.
Right.
But as long as we don't stop breathing.
Yes.
And allow God to do what he wants to do in our lives, then we can move forward in what it is that he's calling us to do, because everybody has a purpose.
Everybody has
we had a good time today laughing and different things like that. But even in the laughter, there was purpose.
Absolutely.
And so when we can look at the things that God is doing in our lives, like I said, when we think about that mind, we think about trauma, and we think about how we respond to the trauma, then we can get to a place where we continue to know that if I just can keep moving, if I can just keep my eye focused on what it is that God is taking me, what God is doing in my life, and allow people to help along the way. Because a lot of times people come along to help, but we don't always allow them or receive it. But if we get to a place where we allow people to help us, then, like this, my motto is, you may be in that eagle's nest. Ooh. You may be in that box.
Yes.
But just like that eagle does, it flies out of that nest and it soars. And when that eagle soars, it's not thinking about nothing else that's going on around it. All that eagle is doing is just soaring to higher and higher and higher heights. Yes. So I just want to encourage somebody, me and Dr. Emma on today, to let you know that even though your situation may have you in a place where you feel low, or where you feel like you can't breathe, or where you feel like you're stuck in a box, just release. Yeah. Take a moment. Like a lot of times they say, take a deep breath in. And breathe out and just let it go. And walk in the freeness of God. And allow God to heal you and do what it is that he wants to do in your life. Because on the other side of your freedom, there's your purpose. There's your blessing. There's your next. So whatever it is you're asking for God, walk in that other side of the freedom, and everything that you've been praying for, hoping for, you're finding on the other side of freedom. Because I caught what she said. She said, if I keep walking in my freedom, it's on the other side. So if God got a mate, a house, or whatever, I got to continue to move out of that corner. Because if I'm in that corner, there's nothing coming to that corner. But it's out in the open where God is going to do what God is going to do. So, dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this moment. I thank you for this time. I thank you for the impartation, Lord God. I thank you, Lord, that you're helping us, Lord God, to walk in a renewed mind, to help us identify our traumas, Lord God. And when we identify those things and we align our mindset and our mind with you and your word, Lord God, then we can walk in the freedom that you have given us. And we can be in a place, Lord, where we allow the laughter, the joy, because we know the joy of the Lord is our strength. And so we can continue to grab a hold of that. We can walk in what it is that you're calling us to walk in. And the moment that we allow ourselves to be transparent and to release what it is that we need to release, we can then help someone else, Lord God, to become whole and to be able to walk in their freedom. So I give you all the glory and I give you all the praise. And I thank you, Lord, for it's in Jesus' name that I pray. And again, I'm Elder Sylvia Yates. This was my guest, Dr. Emma Peden, And like my slogan goes, you may be in it, but you're coming out soaring.
Yes.
Have a blessed day. Until the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you.